I said in this morning's video that I thought the Kansas City Chiefs were probably done going to the well of free agency prior to the draft. We all know that I have a very long history of being very, very wrong. That said, in fairness, we don't know how big a signing this is. Um, we don't have terms yet to this deal, and quite frankly, I can only find this from one source, that being Adam Schefter. Everyone else reporting it is pointing back to Adam Schefter, so I don't know if this is in fact official, but from Adam Schefter we get the following. Free agent cornerback Robert Rochell, who spent last season with the Packers, reached an agreement on a one-year deal with the Chiefs per Unisports Management CEO Kevin Connor. Now, I said we don't know how big of a deal this is because Robert Rochell might not make the 53-man roster. Now, obviously, that's true about anybody that the Kansas City Chiefs sign, but I think that this is a guy who is experimental. This is a guy who does have a high upside. Let's get into who he is. He is a cornerback out of Central Arkansas who entered the NFL in round 4 of the 2021 draft with the 130th pick overall to the Los Angeles Rams, where he played for his rookie and his sophomore seasons in the NFL. And he was in Seattle and Carolina and Green Bay in the 2023 season and played 2024 with Green Bay as well. Not a whole lot of actual experience. However, very, very impressive as an athlete. 5'11 and 3/4 inches tall, basically 6 feet, 193 pounds. From what I understand, he plays at 195. Now, 32.5-inch arms, that's a good arm length for a corner. 4.41 40-yard dash. However, I have seen reports that he ran a 4.39, so I am assuming that the combine number was 4.41, but maybe he had a pro day where he ran a 4.39. A 1.51 10-yard split is a very good number. I would maybe not extremely good, but upper end of good, certainly, for a 4.41 40-yard dash. Normally, if you're running a 1.51 split, I think, top of my head, you're probably in the 4.3s. A lot of 1.49s are very low 4.4 guys, 4.3 guys. 43-inch vertical jump. Explosive athlete. 11-foot 1-inch broad jump. Explosive athlete. 9 reps on the bench press, not the biggest number, but again, you're looking at a guy with 32.5-inch arms who's weighing 193 pounds at the time that he is doing this. So when we look at his NFL career, you're looking at a guy who has spent a lot of time on special teams. His rookie season, he got 234 snaps of defense. That is about 90% of the snaps that he's had on defense for his entire career. His rookie season with the Rams, 2021, 11 games, 5 starts, 234 snaps of defense, 39 snaps of special teams. The following year, those numbers flip. 26 snaps of defense, 325 snaps of special teams. And then he goes on his journeys around the NFL, ending up with the Green Bay Packers in 2023, where he played 112 snaps of special teams. And in 2024, he had 1 defensive snap and 121 special teams snaps. What are we looking at as a player? Well, the only stats worth looking at come from 2021-2022, where he did play defensive reps. In that rookie season, you saw a guy that had a lot of potential. He played those 234 snaps of defense. He was targeted 23 times. 1 in 10 snaps he was targeted. That's a bit troubling, but he gave up just a 61% basically completion percentage, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, good for an .3 rating when targeted. Those aren't bad numbers, especially for a rookie. Maybe you would hope for a little bit better when you're taking him as early as Rochell was drafted, but you're not always going to get that, right? You're not always going to get what you hope for. Played decent his rookie season. So what are some thoughts on this signing in general? Well, this may end up being nothing more than the next practice squad cornerback. The Chiefs love to have a practice squad cornerback with very, very, very high upside. That said, this is an extremely toolsy player. The Chiefs, like I said, have shown a penchant for grabbing extremely athletic corners and giving them a chance. And guess what? That is an absolutely fantastic strategy. If this guy can harness half of his potential, well, worst case scenario, you have a number 4 cornerback. Now, we have seen in the past, Darius Rush, notably, etc. There was the kid out of Arkansas State this past season that I really liked. They picked up as a UDFA that never panned out. But this sort of thing is it's a chance always worth taking. So the same as if you had a 6'6", 260-pound guy who was running a 4.52 40-yard dash, just take him. If you have the opportunity to pick him up for free, you take him. Because if you can teach him how to take a corner, an edge, you can teach him how to get an offensive tackle to set his feet, then, guys, you've got a player. You don't have to have him for 1,000 reps a season, but if you can have him for 10 reps a game, boy, it'll mean something come the end of the year. That's the same thing that you're looking at with a cornerback like this. Even if he makes the 53 in order to be one of those special teams aces, having him around will be a good thing. And he has shown the ability to be a special teams guy, obviously, in the past. So having 6 foot, so 5'11 3/4, 6 foot, that's a good height on a corner, right? Not elite, but good. 4.41 40-yard dash, good. Not elite, but upper end of good. The 1.5 110-yard split, good. 43-inch vert, elite. 11-foot 1-inch broad jump, elite. So you're looking at a guy with some elite characteristics. Teaching him how to hold down the slot, teaching him how to hold down a deep third. If you can do that, if you can unlock that, if you trust your coaches to do that one thing, then all of a sudden you have a player who is making a difference in 17 regular games per season. Again, doesn't have to be a huge difference. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a starter. It doesn't have to be the number 3 guy. He doesn't have to come in and compete with Jalen Watson for the number 3 role. What if he's just pushing Joshua Williams for the number 4 role? What if all of a sudden it's not Najee Johnson who is your toolsy experimental type cornerback? It is Robert Rochell. Well, if he's the guy that's ending up beating Najee Johnson, off the roster, you see where I got myself in trouble there. But if he's the one that forces Najee Johnson out, well, then you're automatically upgrading, and it costs you nothing other than a lower sort of a lower sort of free agent contract. Now, those things said, I will stop short of saying that he's a prima donna. But I will say that there are some things that from time to time he seems to think are not his job. Or at least he did in college, right? Very difficult. At least he did coming out of college. maybe that turned around when he realized, I'm in the NFL now and I'm a special teams guy now. I might not have a paycheck in a couple weeks. So when he does define something as his job, he's very enthusiastic about it. So he's not a guy who's lazy. It just seems that there are things that he would... You do this at work too, I'm sure. That's not my job, I'm not dealing with it. And sometimes that's not my job, I'm not dealing with it, or 240-pound running backs. Whatever. Another downside, I don't know if you see these tools on film. On film, he does not appear to be the fast guy. He always appears to be fast enough. He does not appear to have excessive speed. He always appears to be athletic enough. He doesn't appear to be the guy that has hops to jump out of the building. So I think he might be one of these people who plays with a governor on himself. You got a governor on your car, you want to push it to 100, but that engine, that governor on that car says, we top out at 90, right? So I think that he might be one of these people who plays with a governor on himself, which, look, that's coachable. If you can coach him out of that governor, if you can coach him into using those 43-inch vertical leaps on the field, if you can coach him into being 11-foot 1-inch broad jump explosive on the field, then you've done a good job. So yeah, that's the last thing there. If you can harness these tools, if you can focus this athleticism, you have a player with a very, very, very high ceiling. These types of players, these types of corners, always worth taking a chance on, always worth taking a look at. You don't have to carry him onto the 53 if you don't want to. That said, that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and hope to have you back for the next one.